Thanks very much.
No bother.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Thursday, which means Thursday Tier Talk is back in all its beauty. Joining me today, as always, I don't know whether to call him a co-host, a partner, my buddy. I call him Dazzler. How are you, my friend?
Ah, I love that, pal. I love that. My buddy.
Good, good.
My
Yeah.
buddy. I love that.
I think when I say partner or co-host, it makes it sound a bit official, like bit businessy and stuff like that. And
Yeah, and we're anything but that, pal, aren't we? Really, like,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We're all
like
about business, but
we're all
not
about
that way.
business. But like the people at home, they don't see, when you were helping me put a toilet seat on from your job yesterday, and I'm lying under the floor in my single bathroom, going, I can't get the fucking thing on. So like, there you go.
Was there a lack of appreciation when people began using it?
No, there
Was
absolutely
there a
wasn't.
mention?
Hold
Was there
on,
a mention?
can I just put a call in? How's the toilet seat? Got the thumbs up and everything.
Nice, nice,
Got the thumbs up and everything.
nice.
She was a happy chappy.
Good,
Yeah,
good, good.
yeah.
You shouldn't
Happy
have
wife,
mentioned
happy
it.
life.
You shouldn't have mentioned the fact that I helped you.
Listen,
You slipping.
I'm not worried about that sort of thing. The
I was
job is
like, I
done.
was
That's
like, I was like one of those coaches on Last Chance U on Netflix. I was just motivating you to keep it calm. You were about to smash the thing to bits, and when
I
they all went back
really
on,
absolutely wanted to rip it off with my teeth,
absolutely,
piss and
yeah,
all. I had enough of it at that stage, but we got it done. That's the main thing.
awesome. Well,
But
anyway,
do you know what
go
I
on.
was
Yeah.
going to mention just before we kick off? I was going to mention, if we need to skirt around football tonight and do a bit of wrestling around just with what's going on at my club, I'm fine with that. That's a-okay.
Do you
if
know?
you're a right winger or a right-sided front player and they link you with Manchester United, don't go. Just stay away. Far, far away.
We will. Of course, we will be talking about it.
Oh, listen,
No
I'd
doubt.
be
We'll be
surprised if we
talking about it.
weren't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
The curse of the right winger, like it's a real thing this stage, isn't it?
I'm beginning to think that Alexis Sanchez and Angel Di Maria and all these players that went there, Falcao and all, and what's
Yeah,
his name?
well,
Yeah,
no, well,
I'm beginning to think, was it the club or was it them?
yeah, but you have to remember, like, Falcao and Sanchez were both dog shit after they left us as well. And Di Maria does stuff in spades, but that's all he ever does is,
Won a World
plays
Cup.
here and there.
Won a World Cup.
Lionel Messi won on his own, don't forget now, let's be honest here. So,
I don't know. Alexis McAllister might have had a big part in that, in fairness now.
stop. Jesus.
You wouldn't even give me that, no?
Oh, not a chance, you mad?
Could be
Not a
top of the league
chance.
come 3 o'clock on Saturday.
You
Could
know,
be.
you have a bit of a fear of those 12:30 kickoffs as well, though, right?
We have fear of all kickoffs, not just 12:30s.
The 12:30 kickoff is like the kickoff you boys do not like. Every time I see you lads in a 12:30 kickoff, I steer way clear in my last man standing pick. I'm like, I'm not going near them. And when I see someone else go Liverpool, I'm like, yes, we're in with a chance here.
You know what I was thinking? I was coming on. I was waiting to come on earlier, and I was thinking, you're going to come on, and I thought you were going to drop that bomb on me and say, "Are you looking forward to next Thursday?"
Because it's the first week of Europa
The
League.
Europa League.
No.
You're holding back on me, are you? You're giving me a bit of...
No, do you know what? Listen, I've just about realised today is Thursday, so next week's miles away. Because it's we're first week back in work, it's all a bit scrambly.
Absolutely. Let's go to all the OGs in the chat. Before I go there, first of all, we had a great show last night, Pro Wrestling Weekly, on the Wednesday. D Money from Philadelphia jumped on and all, was giving his views on TKO and all.
Nice.
Ian, of course, jumped on as well, and he gave us his views on it as well. So it's pretty cool show, in fairness, all the same. And it's nice to think that, like, you can be sitting in your studio come bedroom chatting away about pro wrestling, and the next thing you're chatting to a stranger from Philadelphia who's one of the soundest guys you'll ever meet. So big up to D Money. If you're listening tonight on the football side of things, I'm sure you're probably not, but he's a big wrestling fan. I told him he's welcome anytime. Darren, you'll like him, he's a good guy.
I had this conversation with a lad actually during the week. So I like to trade, shall we say, in wrestling collectibles, and I deal with guys in the States all the time. And like some days you wake up And there might be just a message there from one of the lads that you do a deal with every now and again. And he might be just saying, hey, big man, what's the story? How's things going? Blah, blah. Now, like guys I've never met before, but just good guys, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just awesome that you can work up a relationship like with somebody you've never met before. But these lads are 5,000 miles away. We've never met, but we have an interest and we have a common goal or whatever it is. And I'll send something his way, he'll send something my way. Everyone just does the right thing. It's just great, you know, it really is.
Yeah, it's mad. You can nearly do it just straight away because you kick off nearly straight away, don't you? Kind of thing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right, let's go to our OGs in the comments. Daz Reynolds is in the house. He was in there last night as well. What's a crack, Niall and Dazzler?
Good on you, Daz.
Joanna's back in. If there's bets to be made, Joanne's going to be there at the forefront of that. Big up, Joanne. She says she got the notifications at last. Awesome. Great stuff. YouTube might be doing something for us at last. Acers say Dazzler is over the moon with Jade Cargill singing for WWE.
She's getting closer, apparently.
All right, Joanne.
She looks to. Back in. It looks like she wants out of to do this to us, don't they? When we get to the football, they talk wrestling.
That's it. That's what happens. Looking phenomenal, Darren. Phenomenal. There you go.
Don't know. I'm a little bit upset with the barber at the minute. She's give me the cold shoulder, you know.
And our resident referee is in the chat as well. Baby Elvis is in there. Evening, lads. Looking
Baby
well.
Elvis.
Cheers, Mark. Cheers, Marky.
Baby Elvis was at a charity match there a few weeks ago.
He was.
Did you see this out in Bray?
Was it
Bray?
No, I think it was out in it was Sallynoggin, wasn't it? Sallynoggin.
That's Southside. It's all the same place for me, you know what I mean? But one of the lads I used to play football with actually played. Now, this guy is a junior international. I'm gonna give him a shout out. His name's Darren Murphy. And Darren's a junior international. So he's played a number of times for the Irish amateur team. And Darren is a huge Man United fan. And would have always modelled himself on Jaap Stam. He played for United that day. And who did he play centre half with? Jaap Stam.
Jaap Stam. Yeah. Marky was out with him doing the trophies and all, yeah.
I've seen him. I just thought it was unbelievable that, you know, you're able to play alongside the guy you kind of modelled yourself on as a young lad. Just deadly.
Based on football now? Based on football or hairline?
No, definitely football. Like an absolute beast. Would put his head in where most lads wouldn't put their feet. He's the best centre back I've ever played behind. He's ridiculous. Like junior international, I think he got 10 or 12 caps. You don't get 10 or 12 caps for your country unless you're a good baller. Well, unless you're Jeff Hendricks, because he's got about 40 and he's shite.
Would you believe he's probably a lot more than 40? That's how scary it is.
Man.
Mark was telling me as well that Stam looks the business, fairly fit and stuff, still looks the heart. So,
yeah, I heard that. Yeah, we might have to rope him in if Johnny Evans isn't fit next weekend, just to push Maguire further down the list.
Stranger things have happened. Could he play on the right wing?
Yeah,
dare I say,
steering clear that one.
Right, let's get into first of all. I wanted to get for a few minutes. I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
Oh no.
The Premier League put out a little comparison between this year and last year after the international break. And do you know what I hate as well? I hate that you're only 4 games in and they take an international break. What they don't do, let you play 10 or something like that. You get into a rhythm of it or something, you know? What you thinking?
It's not really a like for like, is it? Like everyone's played 6 games in one season, they've only played 4 in the other. So it's very difficult to get a reflection of where they are.
Yeah, but it's you know,
and here's what I mean, right? Here's what I mean. Let's just look at us for shits and giggles. We're in 11th. We've had 2 wins and 2 losses from 4 games, right?
Yeah.
Now that's not great. But if you look at last year at that stage, right, we've got 2 losses and 4 wins. Now, if we go on to win our next 2 and end up with 12 from 6, as we did, it's not as bad a start as it looks on paper. The problems are the losses came maybe earlier or in places where they were a little unexpected. Do you know? And I just think that can be a bit misleading, a little bit, you know?
Yeah, they put it out there, so I thought it was worth taking a look at, you know, just to get an idea and stuff like that, you know, because they were that's the interesting thing. Last year, of course, they started the league early, didn't they, because of the World Cup?
Yeah. So
it kicked off a week or 2 early, so that's where you have those extra 2 games before you hit the international break, so. Yeah, but it's interesting.
I don't love the fact we get 4 league games before there's an international break. I don't love it at all.
No.
Me personally, only me, I would prefer to see the international games played before the season kicks off and then let them run.
Yeah,
like the fact they're only together, and don't forget the window has only just closed. We have a lad, Sofian Amrabat, was signed on loan with the deal, with the option, didn't get to Carrington until after the window when we'd played our last game, and then headed back on out in international duty. How's that going to help anyone? Like, that's, do you know?
Yeah. I suppose the argument about that is that you were trying to get players out the door because of FFP in order to do the deal with him to get him in for the 25 mil, and you couldn't do it.
But that could be anyone signing someone on the last day. That's not
my
point.
I'm not just,
you know.
No, but what I'm saying is if you felt like, I mean, it's a pity you didn't approach earlier in the window, maybe to do.
Yeah, but it's wrong for anyone to sign. If anyone that signs on the dotted line a day or two before the end of the window, most likely doesn't play that weekend and then has to tip off on international duty. That makes no sense. That's nonsensical. And like, if you don't want, and we've seen it for years, if you don't want your high profile players pulling out of international duty to save themselves for their clubs, then you need to find a way around this. Because that's what's going to happen. Guys are going to say, I'm not going on international duty. I've just signed for a new club. I need a new house. I need to get me missus settled with the kids. They need schools. This needs to happen.
Well, you're seeing that, isn't it? That's what Gravenberch did for us. He refused to go on international duty because he wanted to settle in at Liverpool. And he turned around and he told him and he wouldn't go. He got an awful lot of flack over it now, so he may not get picked.
So this is my point. Why put the kid in that kind of position when the problem is the calendar? You know, that's unnecessary for that lad. He's had a difficult enough time not getting in at Bayern and, you know, trying to fight for Bayern to let him go when Bayern saying, well, we want to let you go, but we need someone in to replace you, and blah, blah, and the merry-go-round. And for him to come in, it's obviously a huge move for him to come to Liverpool. He was linked with you last summer and stuff like that. And now he's like, well, I can't go on international duty. And maybe he does want to represent his country, but the scenario of how he got there on one of those last days doesn't suit. He needs to get his wife. He may have young children. I don't know. Like, it's a shitty situation to put players, clubs, and even international teams in.
Well, I was very surprised. Like, if you want to talk about you guys, because Amrabat, he had an issue, didn't he? Have a back issue or something like that, or something was identified during the medical or stuff like that. So I was surprised he went off. And also Lissandro went off and didn't even play, I don't think, for Argentina, because he was because of the.
Well, he left in a boot, hadn't he?
Yeah, he left in a boot and stuff like that. The club should have been at the forefront of that, saying, listen, this guy's going nowhere. You're not going to play him. And, like, why would you fly him halfway around the world and have to do that trip twice in a boot, in a cast? Altitude, all that kind of stuff. The club should have been on that like a you know, he's
but I mean,
over there to be
don't forget the club doctor, the international medical doctors want to see what's going on. They have a right to see him, or then it comes back onto the club and they say, well, you didn't send him on duty, and we want to see what the injury is, and blah, 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 because everyone is fighting for themselves rather than thinking about what's important in this, which is the player and how they're treated as well. You know?
Remember as well, we're only 5 or 6 weeks away from another international break.
Fucking shy.
You know what I mean? So this is what I'm talking about. Like, he's going off.
Shy.
I mean, what's a flight to Argentina from England? Probably
couldn't tell you, but
15 hours.
Couldn't tell you, but I wouldn't like to get dragged by the bollocks, put it that way.
No, absolutely not. Right, let's get into the matches. So let's start. So, of course, we kick off 12:30 lunchtime on Saturday. Wolves entertaining Liverpool at Molineux.
Listen, this has Liverpool written all over. You know, with how you guys have kind of turned up in the last couple of games and stuff like that. I don't see this being a huge issue. The two variations I see here are variants. One, it's that early kickoff. Nobody seems to like that early kickoff. Nobody. All of the big teams struggle at that time slot for whatever reason. The other issue I would say is Wolves haven't been great so far with getting points on the board, but some of their performances have been decent. Now, would it be unlike them?
You guys.
Huh?
The game against you guys, they played very well.
Right, well, this has happened to them a couple of times, right? Yeah. So then they haven't really got the just rewards for some of their efforts so far. I think at times, and I've listened to Gary O'Neill a few times, and he said, you know, the guys are doing what we're asking them to do. We need a bit of luck here or there. We need the ball to go in off somebody's neck just to right. Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Yeah. And they're the only two things that I see stopping Liverpool Wolves have one of them days where things go for them, or you get caught out by that early kickoff. Other than that, I see Liverpool all over this.
Well, I suppose the other issue as well is the South American players are only heading back today because I think they had matches last night.
Okay, so they're going back Thursday. So when are they getting back in? Friday morning?
They're probably getting back in Friday morning. They probably do. They may attend
They're
an
not playing
afternoon
Saturday
or an
morning.
evening session or something like that. So,
It's unlikely they're playing Saturday morning.
Well, you're talking Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz and all. You're talking key players. So
Núñez is out already.
That's not confirmed. It's not confirmed. They take off as a precaution. It's not confirmed. You could still make it.
I did see somewhere else earlier on. I can't remember where it was, and people were being told about it because of fantasy football, and apparently he'd been ruled out, and on the basis that take him out of your team for fantasy and stuff like that. So I don't know about Núñez now.
Yeah, we'll see anyway. I'll be doing a preview for the match tomorrow.
Well, you're talking anyway. Diaz as well, and you're talking McAllister.
Yeah, McAllister as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that could be 3 year starting 11.
Quite a chunk. It's mad, isn't it? We flipped from the AFCON. We flipped from getting battered by the AFCON to getting battered by the South American fixtures and stuff. So, yeah, so we'll see what happens anyway. But listen, the press conference will be early tomorrow from the gaffer as well. And
we're gonna have a difficult AFCON this year. Amrabat and Onana.
Yeah.
And Onana just went back and kind of made up with Rigobert Song and stuff like that. And they won 3-0 the other night and they got to the next phase of the thing. And you're like, this isn't ideal at all.
Yeah.
This is not ideal at all.
And not only that, similar to Mo Salah at Egypt as well. Ghana are one of those teams. They normally do well in the tournament as well. They're you're going to lose them for the guts of a month, if not 5 weeks.
If Ghana do well, it would be all right because he plays for Cameroon.
Oh, sorry. Other than that, sorry, I meant Cameroon.
Yeah, but other than that, it could be a rough one.
I was thinking, I've Ghana on the brain because of Chris Hughton. That's what it is. We were talking about Chris Hughton with the Stephen Kenny situation earlier.
And you know what? What could happen? And it would be typical for us the way things are going at the minute, United. We'll have a Cameroon and Morocco final and the two lads will be there for 5 weeks.
And then a week then they'll probably need a week off before they come back into the team. Before you know it, you're nearly into mid-February or March. Yeah?
Oh, you will be,
Madness, yeah. So where are we? With the comments, let's see. Dazzler, where do you play on Wednesday? Bayern Munich.
It must be United, yeah. Are we away first? We're away first.
Away first, as far as I know.
We're away first, and the only reason I know we're away first is the first night. The reverse fixture is the last night in the group.
Okay.
And the last game in the group I'm going to, which is United and Bayern in Old Trafford.
United's next 3 games on paper should be 9 points. I wouldn't be too sure about that now.
I think the issue at the minute is we don't play football on paper. And with the way we're playing, I don't think you can. I don't think anything's a given. Now, listen, I understand we're home against Brighton. You'd have to hope we get a win there. We're away against Burnley. You have an opportunity to pick up a win there because we tend to win against the lower teams away, but not the better teams. And then we go back to Old Trafford then, and we're home against Palace. Are they winnable? Absolutely. Palace and Brighton at home and Burnley away. Very, very winnable. But you have to show up. If you're 10 or 15% off where you need to be, you're going to lose to some of the teams in the league because the quality in the league, I have to say, at the minute is really, really high. Other than maybe 3 or 4 teams, Sheffield United and Luton, obviously, they're the standouts for me. I think Burnley, I know they haven't picked up the points they want and stuff like that, but I've watched Burnley at times, even in the first night against City, and thought, geez, these guys will do okay. These will pick up points on their Vincent Company.
Yeah, you're looking at the league and you've kind of got, say, a top 6, and then you've got a bottom 4, and then you've got 10 in the middle that are kind of all who can interchange. The same. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
100%.
Interesting from that point of view. Big up Corvo joining us tonight. We will be talking Newcastle now, some madness.
We'll be talking Newcastle because I heard a few stories about Newcastle that I wouldn't mind bringing up.
We'll be talking about them in a bit. Don't worry about that. Aston Villa. Oh, sorry, you give us Wolves, Liverpool. Did you give us a?
I'll say you'll make it 2-1.
2-1, yeah.
Scruffy, but you'll get over the line.
That was Joanne's prediction as well. Spot on.
Very good.
Aston Villa, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, this will be a decent game. I suppose Villa have done pretty well under Unai Emery so far. You know, looked very good at times, and then at other times, especially open weekend, looked way off it. You know,
We batched them as well.
you bashed them as well. But then the two games in between, like you look at it, right? They've gone and they've gone away to Burnley and they've stuffed Burnley, right? Which is a decent victory away from home. And then the previous game to that, where Villa playing that day, they're home against Everton. They thumped them 4-0.
Yeah.
Now listen, if you're talking about Everton and Burnley being two of the bottom sides, yes, Villa should go and beat them. They were absolutely mauled by Liverpool and Newcastle. I think Palace will give us a fair reflection of where Villa are. Because two of the sides they played are two of the top teams, and two of the teams they played are two of the bottom teams.
So this is middle.
This is the teams from that middle pack. At home, you'd have to think Aston Villa are going in here to win this game. Like, I couldn't back against Villa going in here. I couldn't. I think they have a little more firepower than Palace. And I think they're probably as solid at the back as Palace are. Maybe not quite as solid, but they have a little more attacking flair going forward and stuff like that. Obviously with Diaby and Watkins and, you know, guys like that. So I'm going to just go 2-1 to Aston Villa.
Excellent. Good stuff. Fulham versus Luton.
Fulham. That's simple. All day long and twice on a Sunday. I don't see Luton. I picked Fulham as one of my last man standing picks. I don't see Luton getting a whole lot here. I think Luton have been poor, not just in performance, but obviously not just in results and what they've got from games, but also in performances. I think the performances haven't been anywhere near what they'd have wanted so far. I think West Ham obviously went away there the last day, picked up a victory, weren't great, grounded out, and they'll just do enough to get over the line most weeks most teams will do enough to get over the line against Luton. I think Fulham at home should put Luton to the sword. I'm going to say 3-1.
Good stuff. Aces and then Saka's carrying an Achilles tear injury at the moment. That's why he didn't play against Scotland on Tuesday. He came on, didn't he? Did he not come on? I thought he came on as a sub, didn't he?
I will tell you now.
Did he not come on midway through second half or something like that? I thought. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he did.
I'm not 100% sure. I know he didn't start anyway.
No, he didn't start.
That either way. He definitely didn't start. And I thought it's in the friendlies here. Should be in the friendlies. It is. I think you're looking at the right date. Yeah, you know what you. Now let me see here. England and the old enemy Scotland. So the lineups. Saka come on in the 71st minute for Phil Foden.
Boom. There you go. I knew he came on. So that's, if he's come on, that's definitely not the case because he didn't go back off as far as I know. So I doubt it. And if he has an Achilles tear, he wouldn't even be around the England squad.
Absolutely not.
Right.
Horrific injury.
Yeah. Man United versus Brighton.
Yeah. I'm absolutely not looking forward to this, if I'm honest. Brighton will obviously be buoyed by the fact they've just, handed it to Newcastle the last day. They've handed their arses to them 3-1. They were very good value for their win. Seem to be scoring an awful lot of goals, Brighton. They've really, a couple of games, they've scored loads of goals. They got 3 against Newcastle, 4 against Wolves, and 4 against Luton.
And a nice spread on them as well on the scorers.
Right, so and 1 against West Ham. So they scored 12 goals in their opening 4 games. If anything, it's going to cause us trouble. It's teams that can score goals. Now, listen, they're a little more susceptible when they're being aggressive like that. I don't imagine they're going to come to Old Trafford and try and play open and expansive football and play us off the pitch and stuff like that. But they've got attacking players. They've got Ansu Fati. They've got who's going to probably make his debut. They've got Matoma. They've got Welbeck, Evan Ferguson. Well, Ferguson isn't 100% to play yet. There's still a small chance. They've got the boy João Pedro as well. I wouldn't be surprised, if I'm honest, to see Ferguson start on the bench and to see him come off the bench, that they slow play a little bit. wait till they're 60 minutes into the game, they have a full hold, maybe it's level pegging, and then they bring on Ferguson then to maybe nick it for them. Head says it's going to be a tough day at the office. Heart says Man United. I'm going to go 2-2.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. Do you know what I was thinking? I was looking at it the other day and I was thinking with the troubles you have on the right-hand side at the moment,
Yeah.
I was thinking that's a field day for the boy Estepania, is it? That's his area, isn't it?
Yeah, now, like, I suppose we've obviously got the three issues at the minute on the right-hand side. I was talking to Andrew on the way home and I was just saying to him, there is pluses to this. And the big pluses for me is the two lads who are going to fight for this position now are Facundo Pellistri and Amad Diallo. Now, I know Diallo's still out injured. This gives, United fans have been calling for this for weeks to see Pellistri. It seems like every time he comes on, he does something and he flaunts a little bit and we want to see more of it. And then the next time we see him, maybe we're seeing him with like the lesser lights. It's hard to judge a guy when he's not in there with the Hoylands, with the Brunos, with the Rashford and stuff like that. We see him with other guys around him. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. I'm really looking forward to getting to see himself and Diallo. I think Diallo probably has a little more ability, but I think the boy Pellestri's an absolute buzzsaw. He's a workhorse and he does an awful lot of work there, up and down. And I think that's something that Ten Hag will enjoy. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that while we're coming to terms with some of our other issues, shall we say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose the debuts as well of Amrabat and Hoyland as well as a starter. That's going to be interesting as well, isn't it?
I think the one really big positive for me in the Arsenal game was Hoyland.
Yeah.
Getting him on the pitch and also what he did when he got on there. If you looked at the first 50, 60 minutes of Anthony Martial, who left training after 5 minutes today, by the way. And then if you...
No, he didn't. Did you get the story? Did you not hear the story? The story is he showed up at 9 o'clock for training and they had planned something like an 11 o'clock training session. Martial didn't get the memo. So when he found out, he got back into the car and drove out and everyone thought he had gotten injured and left. But he hadn't. He came back.
No, there was a report there was a report earlier on that said Martial arrived at the training centre and left 5 minutes afterwards. Now, it didn't obviously elaborate on... Yeah, it didn't elaborate on that.
Apparently, that's what it was, because apparently he came back at 11 or something to train and all. It was all good. Only Anthony Martial could show up early, huh? Good Lord.
Well, it wasn't Jadon Sancho showing up early anyway.
No.
But the boy Hoyland really excited me, especially the way he got in Gabriel's face and tried to bully him. That's something we've been missing for a number of years. Yeah. And the way he kind of backed him in and he turned him and stuff like that. Then obviously the nice little bit of skill for the goal, that was a real high point for me. And it just looked for a couple of minutes like we had that focal point that we've been missing. Yeah. And there was a little bit of it. Oh, wait, hang on. There was a little glimmer of light, And then obviously you come off the back of that and you've got Amrabat in the door as well. You're like, all right, midfield might be okay now. If he goes with 2 6s and 1 8 instead of 2 8s and 1 6, we could be, Bruno may end up playing on the right as well, which could help us then get Mount into the team, into that Bruno position. Yeah. And then maybe put Amrabat in alongside Casemiro to give him the legs around him and stuff. So lots of positives. You just have to find them,
Yeah, it'll be interesting come 2 o'clock when the team is released and stuff like that. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
You went for a draw on that one, didn't you? 2-2?
I went for 2-2, yeah, I did, yeah.
Spurs versus Sheffield United. Big Ange doing things at Spurs.
This is my other pick in my last man standing. I was going to do both of them Spurs. I says I got one Spurs and one Fulham. Most weeks I'm going to look at Sheffield United and Luton and pick whoever they're playing against because I just think they're miles off it. I think Spurs have been very good. I obviously travelled the day Spurs beat us. Now, I had a couple of issues with it. Obviously, there's the penalty, which for me, it's not a question whether it was a penalty or not. It's a stonewall penalty, the handball. But apart from that, Spurs were value. Spurs were very, very good. Really were a couple of standout performances at Spurs. We talked about the boy Basuma for a couple of seasons when he was at Brighton. Arrived at Spurs last season, couldn't get a kick of the ball. And already this season under Postecoglou with 4 or 5 games on, has looked much closer to the boy that was at Brighton. Right, so that straight away solves the problem. And the other thing is, I think James Maddison has now taken the step. This is him project himself. This is what we can do. You've got Son in around him. You know, you've got obviously Kulusevski on the other side and stuff like that. These will do okay, Spurs. They'll do okay. Plays a nice brand of football, Ange. Gotta say. Really, really does. Has been able to transfer the skills from Celtic very, very well, I must say. I think Spurs will do a bit of a number on Sheffield United. I wouldn't be surprised to see 3 or 4 here at all.
Joanne's gone for Sheffield United 2-1. That's a shout.
I think you're miles off that one, Joanne. I'm not going to lie. I think I'll go 3-1. No, I'll go. Spurs have been okay. I'll go 3-0 Spurs.
3-0.
I'm going to go 3-0 Spurs, yeah.
Cool. Corvo's in. The way we're playing is I don't know where our next 3 points is going to come from. Yeah, we will. We'll chat about Newcastle.
And that's a shocker, Corvo. You know, that's none of us thought that at the start of the season. Got to be honest.
No, absolutely.
And especially when they started the season, how they did against Villa. That was an eyes wide open moment. You're thinking, Jesus, these guys are going for this big in the game.
Yeah. Isaac on fire, Tonali on fire, Wilson on fire. Everyone was on fire that time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
West Ham versus Man City. Could this be a little stumbling block?
There's the possibility of a banana skin, all right. Possibility. Tough. Very tough. Obviously, City managed to get the boy Doku in, which should make life a little bit easier. Because I think they were a little bit short in them wider areas. Did a good win at the West Ham Stadium last year, opening day. They won 2-0, Haaland with a penalty. And then he got one later on then to finish the game off. I'll be interested to see what kind of team he goes in with, Guardiola, because, you know, he has so many changes to make. But I think with Luton giving West Ham a pretty good game, you know, at Kenilworth Road, I think City should have too much, if I'm honest. Yeah, we know West Ham's a tough place to go, but I think City will have enough here.
Oh, absolutely.
I think 3-1 City.
3-1 City. Let's see how that compares. Joanne's going 3-2 City.
Yeah.
Daz, I think, went 3-0. Oh no, that was the previous one.
That was scores. Same as myself.
Absolutely. Newcastle Brentford, the evening kickoff. That's a great game to look forward to, isn't it? Newcastle Brentford.
It sure is, yeah, and it's going to be a big game as well because obviously Brentford dropped a couple of points the last day at home against Bournemouth, and Newcastle dropped 3 of them against Brighton. Brentford have had a couple of draws recently. They're obviously missing one, Ivan Toney. I think the thing that probably just shades this on Newcastle's side for me is the fact it's at St James's Park. You know, I think Newcastle will get back on the road this weekend with a win. I think it'll be tough, but I think they'll do enough. I think they've enough attacking threat. You know, there's a lot going on in that Newcastle team. Anthony Gordon, you know, Harvey Barnes, Wilson, Isaac, Almiron on the other side and stuff like that. Lots of good ballers there. I'm not mentioning the boy Tonali, and that's not because I don't think he's a good baller. I just think he's going to take a little more time to bed in, this lad. We know the difference between Serie A and the Premier League is light years when you consider the pace of play. And I kind of feel like when they were at home and everything was going well for him against Aston Villa, he was able to get dragged along with it. But I feel like in the last couple of games, he's really found it tough to find the pace of the league. And it seems like, you know, they're able to bypass the midfield too quickly with him in there because he doesn't move at the kind of speed that Premier League midfielders move at. Yeah. You know?
Yeah,
I think he's got all the talent in the world, the boy, by the way.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm certainly not, you know, he's not a bum boy or anything like it. Yeah. I just don't like, you know, I don't like the transition from Serie A to Premier League. I think it's a very tough one. if we look at somebody who at times may have struggled in Premier League in a Romelu Lukaku, he goes to Serie A and lights it up. That says to me that the pace of play is very different, because we know one of the issues Lukaku has had is how he's able to get around the pitch for 80, 90 minutes. Well, when he goes to Italy, he's able to do it because the pace is slower. And he's able to have those pockets and bursts of speed and take advantage of those, because we know he's a decent finisher, he's a big kid and stuff like that, and he can bully guys. But I think just the pace of play is going to take a little while for Toniali. I'm actually gonna do the opposite to Joanne there. I'm gonna go 2-1 I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle here.
Yeah, it's certainly a huge game for Newcastle.
It's a huge game for Newcastle and for Eddie Howe.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with some of the stories coming out there, which is to me is kind of a little bit bewildering, but
it's extremely bewildering. But the other thing is, Champions League around the corner. We know Newcastle have the group of death. It's the toughest group in the whole competition by a country mile. They need to try and pick up points at home. The only way you're going to pick up points at home is you're going in confident in that home ground. Now, if they can get another victory there, they'll start making St James's Park a little bit of a fortress again, and they can go and try and put their best foot forward, because away from home, the games they have to play are going to be very, very tough in that Champions League.
Yeah, and I suppose staring into it next week as well, a draw or a loss, considering the form they're on, and some of the whispers that are going around about Eddie Howe, be interesting, all right, to say the least. Let's move into Sunday. Bournemouth versus Chelsea.
Yeah, this is this is going to be another tough day at the office for Chelsea. Really is. Bournemouth, I got to be honest, I didn't love the idea of them getting rid of Gary O'Neill. But Areola has come in and he's done a decent job. Now obviously Spurs tumbled them a little bit, Liverpool tumbled them, but they've played better in games. They got obviously a draw with West Ham and they got a draw away at Brentford. I think some of their play hasn't gotten the results they deserve. Very similar to Gary O'Neill at Wolves. And I think, this will be a tough game for Chelsea. If Chelsea are, a little bit off it, Bournemouth could get something out of this very easily. They don't concede loads and they're a threat going forward. We know that the same with Chelsea is, the same can't be said with Chelsea. They don't score loads and they are a little bit susceptible at the back sometimes. I think Chelsea will get over the line, but I think it'll be close. So I'm just going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, I've an interesting dynamic for you later between Chelsea and United. Want to get your thoughts on it, so we'll save it for them.
You're trying to burn myself and Ian at the same time, is it?
No, I'm not trying to burn. Just wanted to get your thoughts on it because I thought it was weird that the discussion was even happening, to be honest.
Right, go on.
Everton versus Arsenal.
Arsenal. I don't see anything good coming from Goodison Park for Everton, if I'm honest. I know. Hey Ted, how are you, pal? I don't think Everton are anywhere near where they need to be right now. Corvo's saying we're missing Tonali.
Tonali's out, yeah.
Might be a good thing. Might be a good thing. I think Acer could be right, by the way. I think from a pace of play point of view, Newcastle could absolutely beat AC Milan because they could run them off the pitch, with speed and with power and stuff like that, because Milan won't know what's hit them. And especially if the crowd get behind them and stuff like that. Arsenal, I think this is Arsenal all day long. I think Everton are still way off where they need to be. I think they're still looking over their shoulder. They obviously made a couple of signings just before the end of the window there and got a couple of strikers in, which I think was really, really important. And I know one of them they both come off the bench, I think, in their last, the boy Cherby came on and he got a goal, and I think there was an assist for the other lad as well. So they made a little bit of an impact straight away to get them through to the next round of the cup. But they're going to need all of that against Arsenal at home. I think Arsenal look good again. Took really big advantage, at home against United. I'm not going to piss and moan about decisions. Arsenal put their best foot forward and won the game, and I think they'll beat Everton comfortably here. I think I'll say 3-1.
Yeah, Ace is saying next week is when Tottenham will be judged on against Arsenal. Yeah, North London derby. That should be interesting.
Absolutely.
What did you think of the Maguire comments today?
Yeah, I'm just sick of talking about it. About Harry. You know, it's like he's asking for trouble coming out like this all the time. He doesn't seem to do himself any favors. I saw the list today of the international goal scorers and the number of OGs they scored. He's up at 7. He's chasing down Richard Dunn, who has 10 OGs internationally.
Interesting. Richard Dunn, who we would regard as a very good defender.
Yeah, at a certain level.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's the problem with Maguire. I think at a certain level he's a very good defender, but it's not Man United.
Yeah.
And you know.
What did you think of Maguire's OG? I tell you one thing, his OG wasn't anywhere near as good as Robinson's assists. That's for sure.
It's baffling, like, you know, it really is. He surely knew that the West Ham deal was an opportunity to get out and have a fresh start, you know, and go to West Ham and play games and play week to week and build up that confidence and get the crowd behind you and get your teammates behind you. Nobody, and I mean nobody, and I include the ladies that make the tea at Old Trafford, have confidence in Harry Maguire. And when he gets the ball, the stadium takes a big breath and they just wonder, oh shit, what's he going to do now? That's not good for anyone. It's not good for the fans. It's not good for the coach and the management. It's not good for Harry Maguire. Take yourself out of it. If it's January, if it's July, get out and don't put that kind of, you know, burden on yourself. Nobody needs that. You're making top dollar. Go and enjoy it. Play somewhere. Play week to week, because you are not getting a look in at United.
It's talk he could start on Saturday.
Don't believe it.
Do you reckon someone might have had a whisper with him? I know he came out and he said that he couldn't get the deal together with West Ham. But I suppose if you're at United as well, it's hard to walk, even though he was saying today that he doesn't look at social media, of course, but of course they do. They just say that.
He didn't leave United because United apparently wouldn't pay the loyalty bonus, which was 6 million. So from what
which I suppose if you're Harry Maguire, that's fair enough, like, isn't it? Because that would be me or you, wouldn't it?
Sorry, by the way, I've no problem with that.
Yeah.
From that point, I'd be saying to United, pay it and get rid of him. But I suppose United were trying to force his hand with financial fair play and we're saying, listen, leave, get out. We don't want to give him the 6 million. It's not going to help us balance the books. I think we paid 7 for the keeper. So you're thinking, maybe I can't get the keeper in then if I have to do the Maguire thing and vice versa and whatever. So, you know, we had, and we balls in the air at that stage. But like, if I'm Harry Maguire and I'm he's probably making 150 grand a week, eh?
Yeah.
Maybe, just maybe, I say, you know what, give me half it, give me a portion of it, give me something, and I'll go. Because I'm making top dollar week to week.
He's on more than that, isn't he? I think he's.
I don't know, 150. No, he should. If he's on 2 a week, we're in real trouble.
I think he might even be on more. I think that's the issue, because I think the issue was, the talk was, if he went to West Ham.
I do know part of it was that they were talking United might have to pay part of the wages to begin with.
Yeah. So I'd say he's on much more than 150, because I thought what was happening was that West Ham were going to pay him 150, but they weren't going to pay him the 220 or whatever that he's on, and the United had to bridge the gap with this loyalty thing. Remember a couple of months ago we spoke about this 10 million, and of course you called it. You said there's no way the club's going to pay that, and I said, you remember I said, yeah, how much
does he earn per week?
I've no idea. But I heard it's sizable now. Is it over the 150?
190,000 sterling a week.
That's what I was saying. 200 bags. Remember, that's where I was there or thereabouts. I thought even.
Now I have to tell you. I have to tell you, and I know at times we've looked at the way the club has been ran, but that's indicative of it. Harry Maguire, 190,000 a week sterling.
Should look at the other lad on 350, and he's now training at the Cliff. And we get into talking about that.
That's $500,000 between the two lads. Now, here's the thing. I'd pay 350 for the hair all week long if it meant I didn't have to pay 190 for Maguire. Because that's not even a conversation. You know? Not even a conversation.
It's scary.
Jesus.
Big up, Doug. Thanks for joining us tonight. Let us know, Doug. Has that happened? Any good news yet? On the baby front?
I was going to say, that sounds like we're waiting on something at the minute, does it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good man, Doug.
And Ted's back in. Arsenal 4-0.
Yeah, I think Arsenal do a number on them.
Arsenal will smoke the Toffees like a spliff, yeah.
Jesus.
Absolutely. Arsenal haven't won at Goodison since 2017. Interesting.
Wow.
There's a stat.
I don't see it being an issue, Doug. I have to be honest with you. Now listen, don't forget, Sean Dyche has made a career out of this. Everton are going to kick Arsenal off a shitty pitch at Goodison. That'll be their modus operandi. That'll be what they're after. They will play on a bad pitch and they will kick lumps out of them in the hope to get something out of it. I think Arsenal have too much for it, I got to be honest.
Yeah, Acers came warming up for United after scoring against Scotland. England the other night were sensational, weren't they? Unbelievable. Sergio Bellingham play the way he plays is just scary. And to think that he can get better. He can improve.
Is there, like, I thought about this the other day, you know, we were talking about something in the car with the kids and whatever, and we're saying about, you know, the icons that we've had in football, and obviously some of the bigger names are maybe on the wane slightly, you know, your Ronaldos and your Messis and your Neymars and stuff like that. And you're looking at what's coming next. What have we got next? And we've got Kylian Mbappe and we've got Haaland. And then I kind of looked around and I thought, you know what? I think if I'm looking at Haaland and Mbappe, the next name on my list is Jude Bellingham. Yeah. Like, he's there. He's right there. There's no bigger talent in that midfield position in world football than Jude Bellingham. And the only reason you would look at, you know, Mbappe and Haaland before him is because they're goal scorers. You know, but Bellingham is...
He's certainly in that conversation. There's no doubt about it.
100%.
And then of course, I suppose the next level down, then we've got the Camavingas of this world and stuff like that. And I suppose Vinicius is in that conversation as well, isn't he?
Yeah, like
Vinicius.
Vinny's a good player. Vinny's a very good player. Very, very good player. Like, I suppose if you only got to pick one of the 3 or 4 lads, who do you pick? Like, I think there's a lot of people pick Jude Bellingham knowing what he gives you everywhere across the park, not just as a goal scorer.
Yeah, you know? that ball he played through the defence for Kane that the other night was just, again, to see the vision of that and stuff like that. It's like when I spoke about the Gakpo vision as well for the ball that he played in as well against us. Just to have that vision at that age and stuff like that, remarkable.
Just do me a favour, don't be doing that and silly now mentioning Cody Gakpo in the same breath as fucking Jude.
No, but if you watched him playing the other night against Ireland, the way he slotted that ball through, that was just...
I know, but you answered your own question, didn't you? What? The way he played the other night against Ireland.
But you can only play who you're playing against. He's played very well against good teams as well.
I know, but it's easier to play against shit football teams than it is good ones.
No, don't be bitter because you didn't get him. Stop that now. Stop. I know times are tough for United at the moment.
I was happy for you to get Cody. I was delighted for you.
You were, yeah. Should I screenshot the WhatsApp group? Acers praying for Maguire starts against Bayern Munich and Kane. Yeah,
that'd be absolutely horrible.
Absolutely.
That would be dreadful, I have to be honest with you.
And Doug, 190 grand a week. This is United's fault for paying 80 million quid for Maguire. Now absolutely. Nobody wants him. Yeah, and it's like that. It's like that with a lot of players at the moment that it's crazy. Yeah, Corvo's in 190k for Slabhead. Yeah, absolutely. Again, you have to applaud the agent. Phil Jones still sealing and living at United. No, Jones is gone. Jones is gone. Well, didn't you? You got him out the door, didn't you?
We did. However, he's just returned to the club.
What?
He's just returned to the club.
You're joking.
Sorry, I was just changing it. Yeah, I think he's come back in a role with the under 23s. I think it is. In a coaching. You know, he's come in to do something with the 23s and to do something with his badges and something else. I did see he's returned to the club for now. Now, as far as I know, we're not paying any wages for him to return to the club. He's coming back to further his own
I
gains, shall
should
we
hope
say.
that you wouldn't be putting a single penny in that lad's
Yeah,
account at this stage.
yeah,
That lad owes you about 5, 6 years of work for free.
yeah.
Ted's what do you think of? I suppose we finish out the last game first. Forest versus Burnley on Monday.
Yeah, Forest, I think. I like Forest. I like Forest at home. And I like Forest with some of the signings and stuff like that. I'm gonna say Forest will nick this, but it's gonna be a real tough, real scrappy game. Monday night under the lights, 2-1 Forest.
Okay, interesting. Ted's what do we think of Rashford not being nominated for the Ballon d'Or while Saka was?
Um,
I suppose the
I,
comparison
I,
is not what you want to do. I suppose why wasn't he nominated for the Ballon d'Or? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, like I think Saka was as good as Rashford's numbers were. I think Saka still had a better season than Rashford did last season. I don't necessarily, I do agree with you. I don't think it should be why was one and why wasn't the other. For me, if Rashford, should have been put up or not is different than Saka because I think Saka was good value for his nomination, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I think with Rashford, the fact that he fell off a bit from February onwards, if he had maintained his form, I think he definitely would have been nominated because he was up till February he was absolutely electric. So.
Yeah, I think. Listen, it's not where we need to be focusing our attention as United and even on Rashford because for us those individual accolades will come as the team gets better collectively and as the performances get better collectively. You could name the Ballon d'Or nominees year to year if somebody just showed you what teams won certain competitions. You could say, oh, this guy, so it happens like that quite regularly.
Yeah, well, look, it's fairly evident, like whether you were nominated or not, it's fairly evident where it's kind of going to come down to this year anyway. So everyone else is just making up numbers. What did you make of
So
Alisson's omission from the goalkeepers? He wasn't even in. There was 10 picked. He wasn't even in the top 10 goalkeepers
yeah, I
nomination.
thought I'd have been a little more pissed off about that than I would about Rashford not being in the 50. Do you know what I mean? And that's even as a United fan. Now, listen, Liverpool did a fall off last season, and it seems as if because Liverpool didn't perform as a team, Alisson fell down in people's reckoning. Whereas anyone that watches Liverpool week to week would know, well, actually, the fall would have been even further from grace had Alisson not been as good as he was.
He was our player this season.
So that's where I would say I think he was good value for a spot all right now. I have to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
I didn't see the list. So it's hard for me to say, oh, this guy was unbelievable or this guy wasn't. I might actually just have a little peep at it here while we're here.
I'll go through the comments while they're looking anyway. Doug's in, baby is 12 days away from due date. Becca going into hospital on due date. Best of luck, Doug, to yourself and Becca. We know there's huge excitement there and stuff like that, and it's all going to go brilliant for you and stuff like that. So delighted for you. I knew it was coming up fairly soon. So Carvo's in as well. Is Man United now turning into a job for the lads now with Johnny Evans returning? Yeah, it's a bit crazy. Yeah. Carver, don't say anything. They may need Johnny Evans the way their luck is going injury wise at the moment as well. Forest 1, Burnley 1 from Doug. Yeah. I don't know. That's to me that's not an appealing Monday night game really. I don't see it being anything crazy. Mark Hogan, all this talk, our resident ref, I should say, all this talk of 190,000 a week, Dazzler. How much did you spend in the outlets?
Not that much, Mark, you can tell you.
No, absolutely.
Jesus.
Doug's back in as well. Burnley won in the cup recently at City Ground. Yeah, true. So Forest will be looking to avenge that, I'd say. I think Saka deserved his
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I just found the list.
You just made the list?
I just made the list. So let me just run through this for you. Emiliano Martinez. I've no problem with that.
No, World Cup winner.
Thibaut Courtois.
No problem.
No problem with that. Marc-Andre ter Stegen. I've absolutely no problem with that. And I don't know if you've seen any of the Barca games, but this guy's been immense.
Yeah.
Dominic Levikovich. is the Croatian lad. Remember the Croatian national team goalkeeper from the World Cup?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. He was outstanding. The first issue I have is Aaron fucking Ramsdale. Get fucked. So brilliant.
There's
Aaron
at least
Ramsdale.
I looked at the list and there's at least 4 in there, if not 5, that Alisson gets in front of.
I got to be
total.
honest. Because they're the first 5. There's 2 pages. There's 5 on each page.
Yeah.
I can pick one off each list straight away who I have them in ahead of, which is 2. Now, the other ones I could argue cases, because the other 5, right? Mike Maignan, the French national team goalkeeper, AC Milan.
Very good.
You remember the save he made at Lansdowne Road? Kid's
Yeah.
amazing, right?
He was also outstanding against Napoli, wasn't it, in the semi-final of the
He's
Champions
phenomenal.
League, was it?
Yeah, he's
Was it
phenomenal.
the semi or the quarters?
It was the
semis,
Fenny.
Yeah.
Yassine Bouno, the Sevilla keeper and the Morocco keeper. AFCON, World Cup, and La Liga. Very, very good. Better than Alisson. He deserves flowers. I'm not sure if I have him ahead of Alisson. He's one of the ones I would argue it, right? Andre Onana, obviously Champions League, the run with Inter, stuff like that. I could argue you could make a case for Alisson there, yeah?
Yeah.
Ederson, who's the Brazilian number 2.
You won't make a case for him. He won the treble.
Well, it's not necessarily that he won the treble, but like he's the Brazil number 2. He's Brazil number 2 for a reason, because he's not better than Alisson. So I do understand that he's just won what he's won, but in the same breath.
We would I would always say Alisson is a better keeper than Ederson. But if you look at the season Ederson had versus Alisson, and you're judging it based on that, you'd have to have Ederson in there.
And the other one, and the last one, Bryce Samba. Bryce Samba used to play in goal for Nottingham Forest. He's a French lad. He went back on loan. He went back to France then, and he's just come back, I think. He's a second or third choice at France. He's decent. He's no Alisson. So
that's what I'm saying to you. There's literally 3, 4, 5 maybe you could question.
Well, there's 2 definites. Samba and Ramsdale. There's 2 definites.
Yeah,
you could argue Ederson, Bouno, and Onana, and the other 5 I wouldn't even argue because I think they're value for money, and that's Maignan, Courtois, Ter Stegen, Livakovic, and Martinez. But listen, he has every reason to be perturbed, shall we say?
Absolutely.
I'll drop that there, Nasla.
No bother. I think Saka deserved his nomination, but mad to see Rashford not nominated when he had the goals, assists, and trophies over Saka, which they have said is part of the criteria. Interesting. Well, I suppose the flip side of that, if you look at that, I mean, David De Gea had the most clean sheets last season and won the Golden Glove. He didn't get nominated, did he?
You probably look at how many mistakes leading the goals he made as well. Would be quite high.
Yeah, maybe.
Acer's
Champions League predictions. Not yet. That's for another
not
show.
Yet.
You ain't
Not
doing
yet,
that.
Acer.
You ain't getting it all in one show. You got to rock up here and show up. No doubt neither of them are winning it, but just surprised one went in and the other didn't. Well, look.
Do you know what I think, if I'm honest? And so, you know what I think, if I'm honest. We talked about the league table, and there's about 6 at the top and 4 at the bottom, and everyone else is in the middle. Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like when you're looking at the Ballon d'Or like that, there's usually 3 or 4 at the top, and then everyone else is just floor filling, and it could be 1 in, 1 out, and there wouldn't be. The issue is there's a cap of how many of those other players you can have in, and you can have. I think they do 50, right?
Yeah, starts out
they
with
do 50. Yeah. So if in theory there's maybe only 3 or can win it, the other 47 just whether you're on the list or not, it doesn't make a fucking blind bit of difference.
Yeah, it's like being in the PWI 500, isn't it? But if you're 498 or 499,
Do you know?
Yeah. Nice to be nominated, of course, and get the little bit
Yeah,
of
and I don't
fanfare that they
listen.
get for being
Maybe
nominated.
I was gonna say maybe you get a little memento for or
No,
something.
they do. They all get a circular kind of glass thing as the nomination. Because we went through a period. I think we had the most nominations. I think a couple of years ago we had 7, and the boys were all photographed with the 7 glass nomination things. As we do, we like to flaunt that good stuff. Corvo's in. I wish I was living beside the Luton Stadium. I could watch the games from the bath. Yeah, absolutely. Sean's in. Football is fake.
Thanks for that golden nugget, Sean.
Yeah, Corvo's in. Lavakovic, is that how you pronounce it? Is a monster.
Lavakovic. Yeah, he sure is.
It's a monster of a goalkeeper. Ramsdale is Morris number 1 supporter. Morris away on holidays at the moment in Barcelona.
Sure is.
Milan
Cambrils, I think, isn't
it? Yep. Bonkers is in. How are you, Bonkers? Liverpool, Villa, Fulham. Liverpool, Villa, Fulham, a draw.
He's got, Spurs, the draw was the 4th
City,
game, then Spurs City draw. So draw is actually United and Brighton.
Okay, and then Chelsea.
And then draws Newcastle and Brentford.
Yeah.
And then he's picked 7 teams or 8 teams. And yeah.
Nice.
See the way I read that like that for you? You were struggling.
Yeah.
I got that one. It was just the little penny come in there. I went, ba-doom.
There you go. Penny dropped. Here's a question for you, Dazzler. Which United players are in the Ballon d'Or?
Amrabat and Casemiro, maybe?
I don't
know if there's any.
Is Onana
in there? I don't know.
Yeah, you just called him out. He's on the goalkeeper list anyway, isn't he?
He's on the goalkeeper list, but it's a different list, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still a player for United. I'm still on a goalkeeper Ballon d'Or list. So, that's in. Big up Bonkers. Corvo. Ramsdale is the blue meanie of goalkeepers.
I like Ramsdale, but he's not on that list. Like, not anywhere near.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
And I mean, if you're, and I have to wonder, because there's obviously big talk this weekend that when we go to Everton, we're going to see David Raya. Have you heard that?
That's right, yeah.
And I'm like, if you're on the Ballon d'Or goalkeepers list, your team ain't bringing in a fucking 30 to 40 million pound goalkeeper as backup, I can tell you. Not on your Nelly.
And also potentially playing him.
Not on your Nelly. I'll tell you what that's akin to for me. And I called this last season, and I'm going to call it again. That's akin to Chelsea having one of the best left backs in the country in Ben Chilwell. I'm paying 50 million for Mark Cucurella. That's a fuck. That's a head fuck. If I'm honest.
The only thing looking at Arteta this season, maybe he plans to play Ramsdale up front or something, does he? Because he's playing every single lad on the pitch is nearly out of position in the first 4 games. It's madness. Thomas Partey playing at the back. It's
played right back a couple of times, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's madness. Absolute madness. Right, let's get into a bit of news. Where are we going to start? Paul Pogba failed the first piddle test. Tested positive for testosterone.
Hold on, Niall. I'm just going to make my smile a little bit bigger.
But he's also...
You know what?
Go on.
I wouldn't wish bad on anyone. I don't feel like that's good karma. But I also feel that when you're a cunt, it comes back to bite you on the end of your dick. And Paul, now is your time, my boy.
Well, the talk was he had to produce another sample. I think was it today or yesterday or something like that. So I haven't heard anything from the second sample yet. But the talk is he could potentially get a 4-year ban, which is massive because that would nearly signal the end of his career, would it? 4 years.
Yeah, I think it goes anywhere from 2 to 4, doesn't it? So if they were lenient, 2 years out for a midfielder with not great legs, like you're pretty close to hanging it up, or you're deciding, you know what, maybe I take some of that good Saudi money in the next run. And give a little pension proper.
Where USADA doesn't hang out and they don't care.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, where you can pay the boys off.
Yeah,
in gold bullion.
Yeah, the other one on Friday coming out as well is the blackmail hearing is starting in Paris on Friday. This the issue with the brothers of destruction.
Maybe the brothers had the right idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your thoughts on Sancho. Obviously, there was news there this afternoon or this evening. The club released a statement, that he's basically training on his own, and they're going to give him some time to train on his own. This is like is he going off to have another Jesus moment till January and then out the door?
I don't know, but I read something earlier, and I've got to be honest. If I read it and it's correct, I'm so annoyed. Like, I read something earlier which said that Erik ten Hag and his coaching staff were having an issue with Jadon Sancho and his timekeeping. And because his timekeeping was so bad, they started to keep him out of the loop as to what time meetings were going to be at. So if the meeting was at 9 o'clock, they would tell Jadon, get here for 8. The meeting's at 8. And they would give him an hour. He was still late for the fucking 9 o'clock meeting. Now, if that's true, like, if that is true, there's lads popping in at 8:30 to get there for 9 o'clock, right? Your man's supposed to be there at 8 and he's rocking up at 9:15. If that's true and somebody hasn't absolutely lambasted him around that dressing room, there's more wrong at the club than we know. Because internally, and here's something I would tell you, right? Yeah. Here's something I would tell you, and I have done this before. I've caused arguments in dressing rooms because I was putting in more than other fellas were. And I stood up and I told them to their face. And I said, you know what? I'll tell you why things aren't going well, lads. Because seeing a Tuesday night when it's pissing rain and I'm out there rolling around the mud for an hour and a half, you and fucking you are nowhere to be seen. So don't come in here on a Sunday morning and be Billy Big Bollocks and give it all. Oh, you know, we weren't at the races today when you're not pulling your weight. There was someone hasn't pulled that in the United dressing room. I'm telling you, we're in massive trouble at the club. Massive.
There doesn't seem to be a culture of it there at the moment, though, does it? There doesn't seem to be that. There seems to be more of, if you look over the last few years and what's transpired and happened and what we know that's come out, there seems to be more of a togetherness in the players than there is between the players and the management team. Now, when Ten Hag,
in the players, different. However, I do believe that there's something going. I believe there's something going around internally that the players at this stage are like, lads, hold on a minute here.
Enough.
This fucker needs to, pull his socks up, and either buy in or buy out and go. But if it shouldn't have taken this long. It shouldn't have taken this long. It's pride in the jersey. It's pulling that jersey on and going out and doing your job on a Saturday afternoon. And like, I played amateur football. I wouldn't accept it from lads playing in a park on a Sunday morning. Right? So I don't know how anyone, maybe it's me, maybe I'm the wrong one. But if you're going out and you're doing your bit every single week and other guys are rocking up willy-nilly and aren't putting the performances and aren't putting that in, you're going nowhere as a team or as a club until everyone buys in the same amount. Only when everyone on that team gives what each other gives. And you look at that, let's say, at Arsenal or at City. I know and you know at Manchester City, everybody gives every single ounce of blood, sweat and tears they have for that club. That's why they're winning things. Arsenal have now started to do the same thing. Liverpool have done it for a number of years under Klopp. It has to happen for things to go in the right direction. If you've 1, 2, 3 detractors, you're in trouble. You need to weed them out, get rid of them, and take control of that dressing room.
I just wonder after last year's sabbatical, and then what came out that he was dealing with some mental health issues and fitness and stuff like that and all. I wonder if someone is continually doing that, they're indirectly sending a message saying they really don't want to be there, aren't they? Because if you've given a guy an extra hour, if you're spoofing a guy by an hour to get him in there on time and he's still not getting there on time, he's really he's telling you he doesn't want to be there, isn't he, really? Is he trying to construct a move out of it? Had to be, doesn't it?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's all very bizarre. I think, unless I heard it from Jadon Sancho's mouth myself and what it was, and even at that stage, like, we know he's going to say something to try and cover his own back and make it look like he's not the bad guy. But something is badly missing here and badly skew ways. Like, it really is.
Yeah, and apparently there's a consistency as well that he's had issues at Dortmund, he had issues at City, and he also has had issues with the England side. So
Well, listen,
there's
we
something going
know.
on there. You know?
I heard Southgate had issues.
Hmm.
Hashtag Billy Big Bollocks. Thanks, Eno. That's, I don't know whether anyone knows this or not. Well, I'm sure you probably don't know this. My mother uses the nickname Billy Big Bollocks when she's talking about me at times, and she will say it in front of my kids, and she'll say, "You know what his name is, don't you?" And the two little ones will go, "He's Billy Big Bollocks." So that's what it's used in a. It's used in a different context. But
It's amazing, isn't it amazing when kids do it as well? I was looking at a TikTok the other day
No.
in the depths of the heat when it was really, really warm and stuff like that. And I think I might have sent it into the group as well, but it was a kid sitting in the back of a car. Did you see him in the car seat? And
Right.
the mother asked him, was he really, really hot? And he goes, I sure am, Mum. He's a real southern kid as well, real southerner in America. He goes, I'm sweating from my balls to my butt crack. He says to her, and she goes, from your balls to your butt crack? And it was just like, and this kid was like maybe 5, and he was in the baby seat in the back of the car. So you're really warm. So you're really warm, son, are you? I'm sweating from my balls to my butt crack.
Very good.
It was
very
mad.
good.
It was awesome. He says Anthony is same as Sancho, completely, utterly garbage football.
I don't think you can tar Anthony with that brush. You know, obviously what's happened off field with Anthony needs to be resolved. But I think Anthony's put a way better foot forward for United than Sancho has. Way better.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Ten Hag should say to the Man United players, if you don't perform well, you're getting an Avram cool.
That could work both ways, Corvo. You know, up at Newcastle, they sort of say, if you're not performing well, we're going to take you out the back and lob your fucking hand off your foot, like the Saudi way. So you know,
main event Zach Gown.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See Shawnee Longstaff going around like Zach Gown or something like that. Yeah, crazy.
He's now called Shawnee Short Stump.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you make of Graham Potter? A guy who we kind of we've had a lot of time for on the show and stuff like that. Obviously found it very difficult at Chelsea. Not that any other manager wouldn't have, as they do at Chelsea and stuff like that. But what have you made of Graham Potter? Turned down the job at Lyon and turned down the job at Rangers. I thought the Lyon job, that mightn't have been a bad number for him at all. What would you thinking?
I think the Lyon team that we know from yesteryear, the Juninhos and the Michael Essiens and, you know, guys like that, I think he'd have jumped all over it. I think the issue is Lyon of recent years have become a selling club and are finding it very difficult to compete in that league. I think there's probably a few bits going on in the back at Lyon, and he maybe took a look and went, you know what? I don't need this. This is like Chelsea Part 2, and I don't need this. I think he'll look for a very, very stable stone to step on when he does come back. You know, now I know obviously if you're losing a manager, things aren't going so well, but I think he'll look at the club as a whole and he'll say, is there money there to spend? Have I got the backing of a good owner? Is there recruitment? You know, I think that's an opportunity for Graham Potter. I'm gonna make a. You know, I like to make these crazy wild predictions, Niall, don't you? I'm gonna suggest something because I'll tell you the type of I'll tell you the type of owner he'd love to work for. Somebody like a Steve Gibson up at Middlesbrough. Yeah? Backs his managers to the hilt. Middlesbrough haven't started very well this season under Michael Carrick. If Carrick hits the skids at Middlesbrough, Graham Potter could be your man there. And I know it's a step down, but I think Borough are a big club, and I think he'd like the idea of working under an owner who would back him like a Tony Bloom and would give him a few quid to spend and give him a bit of time and give him, I think, something like that. I think he'd relish that. Now, I do believe he'll get offered a bigger job than that, by the way, but that's the type of gig I'd say he'd enjoy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Ian with a bit of comedy for us on a Thursday night.
Jesus.
As you do. Eddie Howe, apparently talk of a confidence vote about Eddie Howe at Newcastle. You said you had a couple of Newcastle stories you wanted to divulge to us.
I did. It wasn't necessarily Newcastle, you know. It was Sandro Tonali. I don't know about that one, Corvo, because I think Everton are a club being run into the ground as well, if I'm honest, and I don't think it's a great backdrop for any manager to go in and do a job in at the minute.
They're
You
on
know?
you see that on the potential verge of a takeover, though. Did you see that from the
Yeah, but again, that's
777
going to
figure?
take a little while to, for it to happen. And then you've got to see what the new owners are like before you decide to go and jump in there. I don't think anyone, especially after the way things went with Todd Bowley at Chelsea, will jump to work under a new owner anytime soon when they do come in. I think they'll play the hand very, very slowly and see how the first couple of managers get on underneath them,
Yeah, absolutely.
The Tonali thing, I think, I heard a couple of stories from Newcastle that he was really, really struggling on and off the pitch. Obviously, he'd had the boys stitched him up a couple of times. You heard about this, did you?
Yeah.
You heard about him looking to go out for a bite to eat and stuff, and they sent him to Witherspoons. They got the tables reserved for him and everything, so it said his name on them reserved. But 777 make Moshiri look like a world class owner. That's the problem. That's the problem.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I heard Tonali was struggling on and off the field at Newcastle. Now, don't forget, it's a big cultural adjustment. You're living in Milan. You're talking pastel colours, sunglasses and flip-flops, right? And then you come to Newcastle. And by the way, huge fan of Newcastle. I love it. Great people. Really great people. But it's different. It's very different. Newcastle is loud. It's brash. It's in your face. It's eyelashes and fake tan. It's nightclubs at 4:00 on a Saturday afternoon. Like it's different. And it will take a lot of getting used to for someone like Sandro Tonali. And I think they've got to give this kid time. I don't know what Corvo thinks about it.
Living in Milan and then come to us and have a pint at the Strawberry Pub. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? 100%.
It's
fucking
thick-skinned,
chalk and
isn't it?
cheese.
It's thick-skinned. And they also, as well, the Newcastle fans and the crew up there, they don't suffer fools gladly either. They're not the type of crew that's going to wrap lads in cotton wool. You hear that man up and you take it on the chin.
I think, it's the kid's got the undoubted quality to go and do what he needs to do. It will be a getting to know you, and it will be finding your feet in the league where, I tell you what it really reminded me of. When I watched them. Do you remember when we used to watch Serie A in the mid-90s? Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry. In the late 90s, early 90s. And there was this wonderful Argentinian player, and he played for Parma, and then he went to Lazio. Played in centre midfield. His name was Juan Sebastian Veron. Beautiful footballer. And we raved about him. And then United bought him. And he came into the league and he looked like he hadn't played football before. He was bang average. This is Sandro Tonali 2.0. The same thing. He has a swagger about him. He likes to carry the ball at a certain pace. He likes to move it like this. And this is 2.0. I'm not saying it's going to end like that.
Wants to be afforded some time.
Needs to be afforded some time. I mean when
in possession.
You mean I'm not. That's what I'm saying to you. Because it needs to be afforded time, because that's how things were in Italy, and this is the pace I got used to. And all of a sudden, it's this is a fake tan nightclubs. Yeah, to tell you, Marky, it's a great spot. That's a chain of boozers. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So one of them was down here in Rahili. It's now not that anymore. And then and the other one's in Coolock, and it's a wild spot, but it's a good spot. It's a wild spot though.
Yeah. You can imagine Tonali driving around at lunchtime looking for an glass of Prosecco and
do you know what I mean?
Bread or something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's getting Pizza Hut and fucking and slushies. It's tough.
Nice pie.
Yeah. It suit us too.
Oh yeah, we'd be all right. Well, we
Suit us
can
too.
adapt. We can sit outside cafes and drink
It's
prosecco as
suit
well
us too.
when we
Yeah,
have to.
absolutely.
What else do we want to talk about? I wanted to talk about Chelsea. Malang Sarr.
Just before you
has
go further, I've only 3 minutes left on me, or 3% left on me yoke, and I can't plug it in because it doesn't plug in when I'm on the yoke. So I'm just telling you, if I go, with me battery.
Well, then you better give us your bets.
No, you're going to tell me about Chelsea and United.
Okay. No, yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. There was a story coming out today. It was interesting. The talk was that there was a claim made that apparently Eric Ten Hag could potentially get the bullet before Mauricio Pochettino. I thought that was a stretch. Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's a stretch. Although I don't necessarily see Pochettino as being in any sort of difficulty right now. I think Bowley looks quite happy with what he's seeing and how the squad has been transformed and stuff like that. And I think you understand it's going to be a slower process because of obviously a lot of the younger players that he bought and stuff like that, Yeah, person chasing down the dog. Yeah, that's it. This is it. Yeah. Now, I expect to see both of them there in 2 years' time. I still think Ten Hag and Pochettino will both be there. 2 years. What are we? We're September 2023. We'll come back and revisit this in September 2025. I reckon Pochettino and Ten Hag will still be at the helms of their current clubs. That's a big shout, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a big shout, but maybe not so surprising. Right, let's get in. Give us your bets.
You do yours first.
I would. I'm waiting for them to come up here. I'm loading up WhatsApp.
There's a reason I'm telling you to go first.
You haven't done any, sure you haven't.
Let's see here.
Good. I'm waiting on mine to load up.
I tell you what, I haven't got a price on it, right? I haven't got a price on it, but I'll give you my little treble.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is result on both to score. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going Villa at home to Palace. Villa and both to score.
Yeah.
I'm going Fulham at home to Luton and both teams to score.
Both to score?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I'm going City and both to win. Sorry, City and both to score against West Ham. Villa, Fulham, City. All 3 teams to win. And all 6 teams to score.
Interesting.
And then I'll give you one more.
Okay.
And again, I don't have a price list for it, but I'll give you one more. I'll give you an anytime goal scorer, 4 players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mohamed Salah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
I give you Heung-min Son.
Yeah.
And I give you Callum Wilson.
Okay. Interesting.
All right.
Yeah, I did. I picked out 2.
Just took them on the fly now. Do you like that? Yeah.
Very good. Not too bad at all. I'll tell you. I did 2. I did 2 bets. I did both teams to score one without the result, and there you go. So I'll give you my 2 bets. I did Aston Villa and Crystal Palace, both teams to score. I did Wolves and Liverpool, both teams to score. I did Fulham and Luton, both teams to score. No, I don't think Luton will pick up a goal at Fulham. I did United and Brighton, both teams to score, and Newcastle and Brentford, both teams to score. And that'll return you 18-1. Not too bad. And the other one I did was I did a little handicap bet. And in the handicap bet, I have Liverpool -1, I have Fulham -1, Tottenham -1, and Newcastle -1. And that returns 25-1. So they're the 2 bets I picked out. So handicap accumulator there, and also a both teams to score bet. That's what I did for the weekend. That's it, folks. Another show in the bag. Thanks as always for joining us, to everyone in the chat there. Aces, Corvo, everyone, Mark, everyone that's in there. Who else are we giving the mentions out to? Where we go? Aces Marks. Eno was in there as well, of course. Bonkers joined us for a while as well. Big up Bonkers. Daz was in there as always. Sean dropped in to tell us football is fake. Nice one. Ted is in there as well. Ted was in. Doug was in, of course. Again, Doug, good luck with the baby and stuff like that. All good. Who else am I missing? Anyone? Keep going down. Boom, 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 boom. Joanne was in, giving us her predictions. Big up, Joanne. Thanks for joining us. Glad the notifications are working. Eno, as I mentioned, was in there as well, as always. Am I forgetting anyone? No, all good. Think I covered everyone there. Big up to the chat as well, as always. If you could, of course, subscribe to the channel, share the content, spread the word about the community that we're growing here. I will be back tomorrow night around 8 o'clock for a Wolves preview. And of course, you can check out our pro wrestling show from last night with D Money from Philadelphia came on, and to give their thoughts on the new big TKO deal. I've also uploaded as well onto Spotify over the last day or so. A number of audio shows have gone up there as well. So if you want to check out the upper tier on Spotify, if you don't want to look at it on YouTube, not a problem at all. It's there for you on Spotify as well. So all I can say is have a safe evening. Have a real good weekend. Tomorrow's Friday. The weekend begins. Stay safe. Hope your team gets the results that you want. And we will talk to you again real soon. Cheers.